In the year 2060, love was declared a threat to civilization after decades of war, chaos, and social collapse. The Global Order Council pinpointed the source of humanity's problems: our own hearts. They passed the Emotional Stability Act, a law that made deep affection a crime. Passion was outlawed. Every form of connection that couldn't be measured by cold, hard logic was forbidden. People no longer broke up. They were disconnected. Every citizen was fitted with a neural regulator, a small silver band behind the ear that monitored their emotional state. If you felt too much joy, too much sadness, or worst of all, too much love, the system flagged you. If you persisted, you were detained and reformatted. The world adapted. Schools replaced art and poetry with emotion suppression training. Dating apps were gone, replaced by state-approved compatibility algorithms that paired people for reproductive efficiency, not for desire. Even your dreams were monitored. To dream of someone too often was to have your subconscious declared unstable. A simple act like holding hands in public could cost you your freedom. Whispering "I love you" could get you erased from existence. The government called this process emotional containment. But in the shadows, people whispered another name for it: the heart hunt. While most of the population slowly forgot what it even felt like to love, a few refused to let it die. They were ghosts in the system, gathering in hidden corners, tracing forbidden poems on concrete walls, holding onto the belief that somewhere beneath all the sensors and the silence, the human heart was still beating. Elias Rehn was a man of order and logic. As a systems bioengineer, he helped design the very neural regulators that kept the population calm, the same devices that had silenced the music in the human soul. He believed in the system. He believed in the peace it brought. But that belief shattered the night he met Lyra Venn. Her emotional readings were impossible. They refused to obey the machine, spiking beyond every legal limit in a pattern that was unpredictable, erratic, and utterly alive. As the monitor screamed red, signaling a critical breach, Elias was supposed to report her, but he didn't. He just watched, mesmerized, as the impossible graph danced before him, and realized that for the first time in years, his own heart had begun to accelerate. They started meeting in secret, in old transit tunnels beneath the city where the scanners couldn't reach. Down there, love was a crime scene lit by candlelight and fear. They spoke in whispers, like fugitives, rediscovering old words that no one dared to speak aloud anymore. I miss you. I need you. Each phrase was a gamble, worth 5 years in an isolation cell. Each touch could trigger a lifetime sentence. But they couldn't stop. With every secret meeting, their connection grew deeper, and the city's surveillance grid grew more unstable. Every beat of their hearts sent ripples through the network. Drones circling overhead began detecting abnormal hormonal signatures in their sector. Soon, the algorithms connected the dots, identifying two patterns that spiked in perfect sync, two hearts beating as one, defying all calibration, and then the alert flashed across the control room at the Ministry of Balance. In blood-red text, a single line appeared on the screen. Emotional collision detected. Subjects Lyra V and Elias are non-compliant. In that moment, love officially became an act of treason. They came for them at dawn. There were no sirens, no warnings, just a sudden flicker in the power grid and a silent knock that seemed to echo through the very walls. The Ministry of Balance didn't need to break down doors anymore. They accessed homes through the neural network, overriding every lock, every device, every thought. When the agents entered, Elias and Lyra were asleep on the cold floor of an abandoned maintenance bay, still holding each other. The moment the agents reactivated their regulators, the system registered unapproved emotional contact. In less than 2 seconds, their names vanished from the city registry. They ceased to exist. Elias woke up strapped to a chair made of glass and light, his mind floating inside a neural chamber. It was an emotion extraction unit. On the other side of the glass, a technician recited his profile in a flat monotone. Primary attachment: Lyra Venn. Severity: terminal. Through the static, he could faintly hear her voice calling his name. But the machine wouldn't let him respond. Their memories were being untangled, synchronized, and completely rewritten. The machine pulsed with a blinding white light as Lyra's image appeared in his mind one last time, smiling, then fading, then dissolving into a fog of static and noise. When it was over, Elias's heart rate flatlined to the government-mandated 62 beats per minute. The screen above him read, "Subject stabilized. Emotional reformation complete." The next morning, he was released back into the city. His ID was restored. His mind was wiped clean. But deep within the silence of his memory, something flickered, a single heartbeat that refused to normalize, a rhythm that didn't belong to the system. It was the last remnant of his love for Lyra, a ghost in the machine, still alive. They thought they had erased him, but they were wrong. Love, like data, never truly dies. Somewhere deep in the city's neural grid, a signal began to pulse irregularly, small, rhythmic, human. The system flagged it as a simple malfunction, but no one noticed that it originated from Elias Rehn. Each time his heart skipped a beat, it sent a data echo through the emotional control network, and those echoes started waking others. Within days, regulators across District 14 began to misfire. Citizens who hadn't felt a single thing in years suddenly found themselves weeping during their morning routines. A factory worker collapsed after hearing a fragment of a song that shouldn't have existed. Children began sketching hearts on classroom walls, a shape they had never been taught. The ministry blamed it on electromagnetic interference. They couldn't have been more wrong. The virus had a name. Lyra Elias's erased memories began to reassemble themselves from the fragments left behind. Every flicker of warmth he felt in a crowd, every scent that reminded him of rain, every distant sound of laughter, they were rebuilding her inside his mind. And as they did, his pulse began to sync with thousands of others who were experiencing the same impossible awakening. Then, in a single night, the city's emotional grid collapsed. Neon lights flickered in rhythm with thousands of hearts beating out of control. Surveillance towers burned out. Control rooms overloaded. And for the first time in decades, the monitors of the ministry displayed a message that no one could delete. System error, emotion detected. The Reformation had failed. Love, the most forbidden force in human history, had just gone viral. By the time the ministry realized what was happening, it was too late. The virus hadn't rewritten their system with code, but with feeling. Every device once used for surveillance now broadcasted heartbeats. Every regulator glowed red, flashing in sync with a city-wide rhythm of defiance. The city itself pulsed like a living organism, rediscovering its own soul. The official news feeds went silent. And then came the first transmission. It wasn't propaganda. It wasn't a call to rebellion. It was a message Elias's voice, cracked and trembling, sent through the broken networks of a dying system. "You can rewrite my memories," he said, "but not my feeling. You can erase my name, but not the heartbeat that remembers hers. You can outlaw love, but you can't stop it from returning." The broadcast spread like light through a dark ocean. People stopped hiding. Couples held hands in public for the first time in 20 years. The air filled with static and laughter and chaos, the pure, uncontrollable music of human emotion. Drones that once monitored them now simply recorded it all, storing the footage in corrupted archives labeled emotional contamination. But future historians would call it something else. The reawakening. When the grid finally shut down for good, no one celebrated. The streets were quiet, lit only by the faint glow of millions of failed regulators. And somewhere in that quiet, Elias and Lyra stood together again, not as rebels, not as criminals, but as living proof that even in the coldest future imaginable, love was still humanity's final crime, and its only cure. Thank you so much for watching. If this story resonated with you, don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit that notification bell for more stories that explore the heart of what it means to be human. See you next time.